Hello, this is Eric Stewart with Solar Luna Yoga, and today I want to talk about a very simple way that you can help yourself sleep. And this is something that can work if you're someone who has difficulty getting to sleep initially when you go to bed. It can also help if you're someone who wakes up in the middle of the night and then has difficulty getting to sleep. It can also work if you experience both of those things, or if you're intermittently waking up during the night. Before I get to the method, I want to just mention some things that happen often when people struggle to sleep. So one of the most common things is that there is an anxiety that develops about being awake and not being able to sleep. And this is one of the most challenging things for people to actually flip over into the state of sleep. That basically the desire to sleep backfires on itself, and there's so much emotional concern going toward wanting to sleep and needing to sleep that it pushes the sleeper who wants to sleep away from actually doing that. And often that can be accompanied by the fear of everything that we're told about how sleeping is really important and not sleeping is very unhealthy. There's a lot of anxiety that can feed into that, but also it's very common to think about, to get involved, roped into the things of the next day, or especially if someone needs to get up early, something like that, or if there are things to do in the day that are really important, that starts to weigh on the concern about sleeping, and then that will feed into the not sleeping, that anxiety about not getting sleep. So it becomes a kind of self-fulfilling situation. It becomes a self-fulfilling state of not sleeping. So it's important to recognize that, first of all, because any method or technique or little practice that we can do that can potentially be helpful for getting to sleep can feed into that very concern. So that is, if you have an agenda that you're bringing into the practice, like, okay, I'm doing this practice because I have to sleep. If that agenda is very strong in doing the practice, if that is getting weighted into the practice, it will backfire. It will cause you not to sleep and the practice won't work, and that can be very frustrating. So before I talk about this one particular activity that you can do, I'll just say that there are lots of practices that can work. There are breathing practices, there are tension, relaxation practices that can work. But the first thing that's essential with any of those things is to let go of having to sleep, which is paradoxical because it's the thing that the non-sleeper wants. We set ourselves up better if we can let go of that need, that great intent to have to sleep. And if you struggle with this, if you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to simply be better off doing this practice or doing whatever I'm doing, and if I can get myself into a more settled state, I will be better off than if I don't do this. And we can handle even a few days of not sleeping. We are resilient creatures that can manage. It won't be great. We'll feel like crap likely, but it's possible to handle that. And recognizing that can take a lot of the pressure off. And recognizing that doing things that nourish ourselves will make us in a better situation than otherwise. And so this practice is one that part of its usefulness and its effectiveness is that it is so simple, and it requires very little energy, and it really is resonant with the sense of nourishing oneself and resting. So one of the things that is very difficult when people struggle to sleep is there's this kind of in-between limbo state of feeling very tired and very fatigued, and therefore not wanting to do and not having the energy to do something, and doing a practice feels awful or feels not the thing to do. And so the person just lies there and suffers. So we want something that requires very little energy, that's very easy to do, that's accessible, but also is soothing and restful. And so this is the one other thing that I'll mention in terms of intent. If you can convey to yourself more a sense of rest instead of sleep, rest will tend to lead to sleep. And even if you don't sleep, encouraging rest for yourself will put you in a better place. So this very simple technique, it is giving yourself contact anywhere on your body. Your head is a great place, and you can do this with 2 hands. You can do it with 1 hand. It's very adaptable, and this is useful because if this is something that you want to do as a regular practice, it's good to have things that can be varied. So there's a consistency with the practice, but there's also variation with the practice. And you're just placing a hand somewhere on your body and being very gentle. You could move it a little bit in a soothing way, almost like a very caring parent touching the forehead of a child who is sick or is not feeling well or is distressed. And you can do this resting on your back. You can place a hand in a few different positions. And then at some point, I find it helpful to roll onto the side and then maybe do a couple more holds in different places. Again, the most important thing is conveying a soothing, restful quality through the touch. It requires very little energy, and it is going with the progression into the state of sleep rather than away from it. So if you struggle with sleeping, try this out and let me know how it goes. And if you find these videos helpful, please like and subscribe.